I came home a day early, hoping to surprise my daughter. The key turned in the lock, quieter than usual, almost like the world was holding its breath. But I was the one who got the surprise. Two police officers were standing in my living room. My 5-year-old daughter, Lily, was curled into a tiny ball on the couch, her little body trembling with sobs. And watching her, with arms crossed and faces like stone, were my mother and my sister. They were the ones who had made the call. On a child. My child. That was the moment everything shattered. And the moment my revenge story truly began. The scene is burned into my memory forever. One officer was crouched down, speaking in that gentle, measured tone cops use when they're trying not to spook a stray animal. The other stood near my mother, Carol, who loomed like a disappointed judge. My sister, Tiffany, held her own daughter, Sophia, who was theatrically sniffling into her mom's shoulder. For a split second, my brain refused to process it. A break-in? A mistake? But then the officer looked up. "You must be Sarah," he said. I just nodded, my throat too tight to speak. He explained there was a report of a dispute. One child pushed another. Pushed. My 5-year-old Lily, who was now staring at the floor as if awaiting a death sentence, had apparently pushed her cousin. My mother jumped in, her voice dripping with cold righteousness. We tried to talk to her, but she got mouthy. We thought a quick chat with the police would help her understand this behavior isn't acceptable. The younger officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, for a 5-year-old? We don't typically conduct behavioral interventions for kindergartners." That's when Lily finally looked at me, her face crumbling, and let out a broken, silent sob that tore my soul in two. I rushed to her, wrapping her in my arms. She clung to me like I was the only solid thing in a world that had just dissolved around her. The officers, bless them, were professional and quick. They saw the situation for what it was, a gross misuse of their time. "If this kind of report happens again," the officer said, looking directly at my mother, "it could be considered misuse of emergency services. We have real emergencies to attend to." He then gave Lily a small, reassuring smile before they left. The door clicked shut, leaving a silence that screamed with betrayal. This wasn't just a disagreement. This was one of those true stories of family betrayal you read about, happening right in my own living room. After the police left, I got Lily into her pajamas, reading her favorite book until her breathing evened out, and she finally drifted into a troubled sleep. The whole time, a cold, hard rage was solidifying in my chest. This wasn't just a mistake. This was a calculated act of cruelty. I walked back into the living room where my mother and sister were waiting, expecting... What? An apology from me? "You have lost your minds," I said, my voice dangerously low. "You called the police. On a 5-year-old. Over a toy." Carol's face tightened. "It wasn't about a toy, Sarah. It was about her aggression. You spoil her and she's becoming a problem." A problem? My vibrant, happy daughter was a problem because she didn't immediately bow to their will. "Grandmothers like you," I shot back, "become the reason people spend years in therapy. You terrified a child." Tiffany finally spoke up, defending her. "Mom was just trying to teach her a lesson. You're overreacting." That's when I saw it all with horrifying clarity. This wasn't a family. This was a toxic hierarchy where I was the black sheep, the ATM, and my daughter was an inconvenience. My whole life, I'd been trying to earn their approval, trying to build a bridge to a family that never wanted me unless I was useful. This was one of those harsh life lessons I was learning far too late. "We're done," I announced. The words felt heavy and liberating all at once. Carol scoffed. "What does that mean?" I looked at Tiffany, whose eyes widened slightly in panic. "It means the car payments stop. Today." Then I turned to my mother. "It means the monthly transfers for your utilities and your insurance premiums stop too. You wanted to teach a lesson about consequences? Here's yours." The journey of overcoming adversity often starts with a painful but necessary amputation. I was finally cutting off the diseased limb. They stood there, stunned into silence. As I walked away, the first few days were silent, eerily silent. I half expected a flood of angry texts, but there was nothing. It was the quiet before the storm. Then, on day 5, the first email arrived. Your recurring payment of $278 to Tiffany Wallace's loan account has been canceled. I closed my laptop and braced myself. The text from Tiffany came an hour later. Hey, the car payment didn't go through. Glitch? I typed back a single word. Number. 3 hours later, a call from my mother. I let it go to voicemail. The message was a masterclass in passive aggression. Sarah, honey, it's your mother. I'm just so worried. The utility company is threatening to shut things off. I just don't know what I'll do. Please call me. I deleted it without a second thought. I had been their family emergency fund for years, and now the bank was closed. But I underestimated their capacity for cruelty. Their financial leverage was gone, so they decided to weaponize my daughter. The real revenge story, their revenge story against me, was just beginning. It started subtly. A mom from Lily's preschool, someone I was friendly with, gave me a strange, pitying look at pickup. Then another mom avoided eye contact altogether. I brushed it off. I was being paranoid, right? Wrong. The call came from Mrs. Davis, the preschool director. Sarah, she began, her tone gentle but firm. A few parents have approached me with some concerns. There are rumors circulating about an incident with the police, and that Lily has anger issues. My blood ran cold. They wouldn't. Oh, but they would. They had taken their private war public. They were trying to poison the one place where Lily was supposed to be safe. This wasn't just a family squabble anymore. This was a campaign designed to isolate me and punish my child for my defiance. It was a classic case of family betrayal, executed with precision. I found out later how it had happened. My sister, Tiffany, the nail tech with a flair for drama, had weaponized the parent community. She didn't send an anonymous email. That wasn't her style. It was far more insidious. She'd shown up at an informal parent coffee morning, tears in her eyes, playing the part of the concerned aunt. She spoke in hushed tones about how she was so worried about Lily, about the stress at home, and vaguely alluded to a frightening incident that required police intervention. She painted a picture of me as an unstable single mother and Lily as a ticking time bomb. The whispers spread like wildfire. At pickup the next day, the atmosphere was thick with suspicion. Parents would pull their kids a little closer when Lily and I walked by. One mother actually asked me with a fake sweet smile, "Is everything all right at home? We're all just so concerned." It was humiliating. I felt like I was back in high school, being shunned in the cafeteria. They had turned my daughter's safe space into a stage for their twisted drama. I guess this is what happens in the best revenge stories. The villains don't just give up, they escalate. I saw Tiffany waiting by the gate one afternoon, a smug look on her face. I walked straight up to her. "How dare you?" I seethed. "You're a mother. How could you do this to a child?" She just shrugged, the picture of false innocence. "I don't know what you're talking about, Sarah. People talk. Maybe if you weren't having so many problems, there'd be nothing to talk about." That was it. The final shred of any sisterly feeling I had left for her evaporated. She was a stranger to me now, a malicious one. This was one of the most painful true stories of my life, and I was determined to write a new ending. I would not let them win. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about protecting my daughter's world. I went home that day with a fire in my belly. They wanted to make my life a public spectacle? Fine. Two can play at that game. The next morning, I requested an urgent meeting with Mrs. Davis, the preschool director. I walked into her office, took a deep breath, and laid everything out on the table. No more whispers, no more rumors. Just the cold, hard truth. I told her everything about my emotionally barren childhood, about my role as the family fixer and financier. I told her about the incident, how my mother and sister called the police on my 5-year-old for not sharing a toy. I showed her the text demanding money, and I explained that this smear campaign wasn't born of concern, but of financial desperation. It was their punishment for me cutting them off. As I spoke, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. For the first time, I wasn't hiding their dysfunction. I was exposing it to the light. Mrs. Davis listened patiently, her expression shifting from concern to a quiet, firm anger on my behalf. Sarah, she said when I finished, I am so incredibly sorry you and Lily are going through this. This is unacceptable. She immediately put a plan in action. An email would be sent to the parents clarifying that the school does not tolerate gossip and that all students, including Lily, are safe and cherished members of the community. More importantly, she put Carol and Tiffany on a list of individuals who were not, under any circumstances, to be allowed on school property or have any contact with Lily. Walking out of that office, I felt a surge of power. I had taken back control of my own story. This was my inspirational story of fighting back, not with their underhanded tactics, but with the truth. The path of overcoming adversity is paved with moments like these, where you stand up and say, "No more." I had drawn my final boundary, not in the sand, but in concrete. Putting the school on alert was a major step, but I knew it wasn't enough. My mother and sister were relentless. They had proven they would cross any line. What was to stop them from showing up at our house? Or ambushing us at the park? The fear was a constant, low-level hum in the back of my mind. I couldn't live like that. And more importantly, I wouldn't let Lily live like that. I needed a solution that was absolute. I needed the law on my side. That evening, I sat at my kitchen table and did something I never imagined I would do. I went to the court's official website and began filling out the paperwork for a temporary restraining order against my own mother and sister. The process was chillingly bureaucratic. Clicking through the forms felt surreal, like I was ordering groceries online. Reason for order: harassment, infliction of emotional distress. I detailed the police incident. I described the smear campaign at the preschool. I attached screenshots of the manipulative texts. Each click of the mouse felt like a hammer blow, sealing a door shut forever. It wasn't a moment of triumphant joy. It was a moment of profound sadness. This was the ultimate admission that my family was broken beyond repair. This was the final, devastating consequence of their family betrayal. But as I hit submit, a different feeling washed over me. Relief. A deep, profound sense of peace. I had done everything I could to protect my daughter. I had built a legal wall around our little world. It was a grim, necessary act, a life lesson in self-preservation that no one should ever have to learn. The system would handle them now. I no longer had to. This wasn't just another chapter in our painful family revenge story. It was the final page. The court papers were served on a Thursday. I know because the silence that followed was absolute. For the first time in months, my phone didn't buzz with guilt-tripping texts or desperate voicemails. No one was lurking at the preschool gates. No one was trying to poison my life from the shadows. There was just peace. Real, actual peace. A few months later, I got a forwarded text. It was from Tiffany to our mother. They repossessed the car. I can't get to my night shifts. I'm going to lose my job. Carol had sent it to me, clearly hoping it would break my resolve. I read it, felt a brief, distant pang of something that might have once been pity, and then I deleted it. It wasn't my problem anymore. Their choices had consequences, and they were finally living with them. Our lives, Lily's and mine, began to bloom in the quiet. We painted a huge, colorful rainbow on her bedroom wall. We made pancakes for dinner and didn't care that it wasn't proper. We built forts in the living room and watched cartoons until we cried with laughter. Lily started sleeping through the night again. The fear left her eyes, replaced by the carefree sparkle a 5-year-old is supposed to have. I was no longer just surviving, I was thriving. I was a better mother, a happier person. This was the real victory. This was the true meaning of overcoming adversity. It wasn't about their suffering, it was about our freedom. My journey is one of those true stories that proves family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about who holds your hand, not who holds a knife to your back. My inspirational story ends here, in the quiet happiness of a home built on safety and love, a testament to the fact that sometimes the best revenge stories are the ones where you simply walk away and build a better life. In the end, cutting them off wasn't really about revenge. It was about survival. It was about choosing my daughter's well-being over a toxic sense of family obligation. I learned that family is not a word you owe to people who hurt you, and true strength isn't about enduring endless pain, but knowing when to walk away and build your own sanctuary. My home is finally a safe space, filled with laughter and glow in the dark stars on the ceiling, not anxiety and judgment. Lily is thriving, and that's the only victory that ever mattered. But I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think. I've shared my story, one of the most difficult chapters of my life. Now I want to ask you, what would you do if your family chose to betray you in such a fundamental way? Am I wrong for cutting them all off completely? Or was it the only choice I had to protect my child? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. And if this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share. You never know who might need to hear that it's okay to choose peace.